Janice is here. Who else? Who else is going to be testifying? Give me your names.
Peter DeLisi.
Peter, okay.
Peter's
Anybody
with
else?
L&I.
Who?
Peter is with L&I. He's the
Okay,
fifth.
anybody else going to be testifying here
Yes.
today for Hunting Park
Okay.
Avenue?
George Swisher.
Hey, George. Okay. Anyone else?
Will Nixon.
Will Nixon? Anyone else?
Yep.
Okay. All right, we're going to get started. I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ted Agus, board member.
John Dimes, fire code.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
Jay Scoria, Department of License and Inspections.
Okay, is that everyone? All right, before we start, I'm going to swear everybody in that's going to be a witness, individual. Okay? Janice, please raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay. Pete, raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay. George, raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
If anybody's a lawyer, say it now, because you guys don't lie, so you always tell the truth. Is there any lawyers here? No? Okay. How about Will? Swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Phil, put it in for the record, please.
Yes, sir. This is case number 1 on today's list. MI 2023-005603 for the property located at 2901 Hunting Park Avenue. The appellants are George Swisher and Janice Woodcock. Both are present in the room today.
Okay, whoever's going to start the case off, please go ahead.
I'll start briefly just to say that this is part of a ongoing life safety project where the building has been divided into 2 buildings, and we are in the process of repairing an existing sprinkler system. And that system it involves extending the existing sprinkler piping to cover the entire building and installing a new fire pump. And we're here today to talk about the electrical supply to that fire pump. And George Swisher will explain the existing conditions and our proposed solution.
Okay, thanks, Janice. I'll just share my screen here for everybody and do a brief recap of what was presented 2 weeks ago. Okay, does everybody see this picture
See
on
it
the screen?
now. Yes.
Okay. So this is a section of 13 kV switchgear that feeds the building. And within this switchgear, there is a connection for a fire pump that used to be in the building. It's been removed. The connection occurs on the bus bar of the switchgear and went into the building via the roof and then down through the building. As presently configured, the main switch is considered the service disconnecting means. And then there are 2 feeders. One feeder feeds the building and a second feeder feeds a spare pad mount transformer that's not in use right now. What we are proposing is to call these 2 switches here the service disconnecting means, maintain the connection to the fire pump. That way, when first responders report to put out the fire, they can come to the switchgear, throw these 2 switches, the building is de-energized, but service is still maintained to the fire pump. When we spoke 2 weeks ago, that seemed to be an amenable solution for the issue of being able to de-energize the building. However, there was still the issue of the connection itself within the switchgear that I think we want to probably discuss a little more in depth today.
So one quick question. The existing disconnect, will that be decommissioned? I mean, or sort of locked in place when all this happens?
No, it will still be active, Ted. That needs to be active to serve these other two switches.
Okay.
But as we discussed last time, we're proposing to add
Right.
signage and some orientation to be able to effectively disconnect power from the building while still maintaining power to the fire pump.
Does that have to be done manually?
Yes, it does. Yes.
So, in other words, the building's on fire, somebody comes in and has to shut that switch off? Is that the fire
So-
department do that?
The fire department does that. Wayne, the physical location of this gear is outside the building. It's behind the building.
Yeah, Wayne,
Okay, that's right. You're right. Okay, yeah, okay.
that's kind of customary in any building or house fire. The second in ladder company is responsible for getting the utility, shutting off the gas and the electric, just because it makes the environment more dangerous and bad things can happen. So that's kind of what they do.
Is there any type of an emergency generator?
There is not, no.
No, okay. Don, what do you feel about that?
It's like we talked about last time, you know, as long as we're able to secure all power to the building, including if we wanted to shut the power off to the pump, or the fire pump also, it's just a matter of us being able to secure the electric and the gas. And as long as the signage is there, and because it's a little unique of a situation, the recommendation I always have, it would be you put something on the building, and then you put something at the shutoffs themselves with some sort of, if there's any directions or anything like that. If it's just a simple pull switch and it's labeled, should suffice. But that's the really only solution to these types of things is signage and labels.
Where would that signage be?
Outside.
Well, one would be
At the front door?
On the building, visible to approaching apparatus. Saying there's a dual electrical feed, shutoffs are both a panel or something like that. I can come up with the verbiage if that's what's needed. Electrical shutoffs are in the back. And then when you get to the back, you have the sign is there, kind of dictating how to do it. So both.
John,
Yep.
does like the guy that's the head of the firehouse there, or captain or whatever he is, do they go out, they look at certain things, right? And each, I guess, shift knows that they have to do this? Do they go around and inspect that?
Yeah, so what you're talking, I think, about, Wayne, and there's certain buildings of such magnitude, whether they be high rises or something like this. The square footage on this is pretty enormous. This is something that this building, the local fire company and the second in fire company should have what they call VBIs, vital building inspections, and it should tell them on there where those things are. So they should know anyway.
Okay.
However, you know, you can have different things going on in the city where the first and second in company aren't the first ones to respond to this building because they're out doing something else. So at that point, the signage would be more helpful to them. And then there's vacations and details, and you never know who's going to be in any particular.
Okay.
So signage could be primary or a backup indicator for this type of thing. But yeah, the first and second in company should have a VBI report on the apparatus they can look at. They should be familiar with the building because they've taken a tour or at least walked it and done a block check or a VBI. And then there's the signage of it, both on the building, visible to approaching apparatus, directing them to where this is. And then when they get there, any signage needed to actually shut it off.
Is that the only issue?
As far as fire department operations, I mean, yeah, I mean, that I see. Yeah, I mean, based on my knowledge and experience, unless there's electrical code stuff that says other, again, I think this is a variance of the electrical code, not the fire code. Is that correct? Yeah, so again, not being an electrician, there may be something else, but as far as fire department safety and fire personnel safety and operational with the fire department, that's what I see.
And I think we also wanted to have Peter weigh in on this.
Yes, if you're ready.
Yeah, Peter, we're ready.
The proposal, the way they have it, even if there is signage ahead after the switch, if this main disconnect switch, if there's problems with any of the fusing, or if the switch gets opened up, their whole scenario doesn't work and there's no power to, no fire pump, no part of the building. So that's where it's in direct violation of 695(3)(a)(1), where you can't do this. Because if that switch is opened up, there's fusion problems and explosion. That's why the tap is supposed to be ahead of the main, so we avoid any of these scenarios, so there's no problem and the fire pump works no matter what. So fire pump service and rooms designed to be, if the building's burning, crumbling, or whatever, the service and power is supposed to be to the fire pump still operating. With all of these scenarios, we have at least 3 different scenarios where the fire pump could lose power and not be working, and the whole building basically won't have a sprinkler system.
Wow. Why don't you put a diesel fire pump in there?
That's an option.
A new electric fire pump has been installed in the basement and is awaiting an electrical service connection.
That's not a repair. You're calling it a repair. That's a new installation.
Well, it's a replacement of an old fire pump.
Yeah, but if we have new switch gear, we're doing a level 2 alteration and a new fire pump. It would be customary to put in a legal fire pump service ahead of the switch, the main service disconnect. So we did all of this and didn't take into account that the fire pump service was illegal.
Well, we were counting on reusing the existing fire pump tap that was in place before this project was enacted, under the assumption that it was reviewed and approved.
Is the sprinkler system done?
No, I believe it's work in progress.
I could speak to that. So the permits are pending approval. So no, the work is not complete. It's ongoing process.
There was no permits to put the sprinkler system in?
Yes, there's a building permit that is approved for the.
No, a sprinkler permit. Is there a sprinkler permits to put that system in?
Well, you can answer that, whether the subs have pulled their permits.
The only thing I could say, it's not a permit through my company, so the owner would have to kind of give you more information on that. I just know that there is no, so the new sprinkler pipe is not activated in any way. It was just pipe hung. And that the pumps are located on site, is my understanding, but disconnected presently.
Your Will is correct. It's BM Fire Protection, and they have been pursuing permits. I don't have a permit number because it's not under my company either. It's directly with the owner.
Was plans submitted to the L&I?
Yeah.
The L&I is the right pump in there? You said you were going to use the old pump, and now you're going to put a new pump in?
The old pump is what there was a freeze thaw event, and the old pump could not be reused, and so we had to replace it.
And what size pump do you have in there now? You're going to be putting in, or it's in?
So 40 horsepower.
What do you have?
40 horsepower.
What size? Is 750, 1,000 gallon pump? What size pump do you have in there?
I can find that out. Give me a sec.
Jace, can you pull up the plans and see what's supposed to be in there?
Sure.
So 500 GPM.
What was submitted to the L&I?
My understanding is that that is what would have been submitted to LNI. It would be what George is referencing, but that is currently with LNI. As I just attended a meeting that spoke on it the other day. That was my, that's my knowledge on it.
Is this approved?
That's true.
No,
My
it looks like it's
understanding
still
is
in
it's
review,
pending
right?
approval. Yeah. Pending.
It's pending approval.
Yes, correct. That's my
Okay.
understanding.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So what do you gotta do, the calculations and all, Jace?
Yeah, it's still in review. It looks like they just resubmitted for additional information on October 3rd, the due date.
Here's my reason why.
24th.
Is that electrical gear, say you're putting in a 500 gallon a minute pump. And after you do your calculations, which you haven't done the calculations, you need a 750 gallon a minute pump. And say that electrical system wasn't upgraded to handle that. Well, how does this work?
It's putting the cart ahead of the horse. All of that should have been corrected first. And when you're putting in a new
Absolutely.
pump- when you're putting in a new pump, that's where you look at the old service, and I wouldn't put in something new with anything old. If we're saying we had a failure on the fire pump, that would lead me to believe I want everything new, including the service, where I see 3 different fails before this fire, to take this fire pump out, that this whole entire building does not have a fire suppression system. That's why I did not, as soon as I seen it, I denied it, and I contacted the EC, the GC. And, I tried to get on the same page with them, and they was like, don't blame us. We looked at this and we went over this and we said that this is not going to fly. We can't do it like this. And that's where they requested a refusal. And I said, this is a first for me. I mean, everybody gets their day, but here we are.
I don't know if with that electrical panel, is that what is needed to run them pumps?
No. It needs a tap ahead of the service disconnecting means, not from the bus bar. I don't even know how old that tap is.
So Wayne, everything within the building downstream of this gear is new. We intend to run MI cable within the building, which has a 2-hour fire rating. That'll be run to the fire pump room, which will have a rating. The fire pump itself will be new. My understanding was that the drawings I have up on screen here have been calced for the building. So there's no reason to believe that the fire pump size is incorrect.
Okay. But how about the switch gear? Is that correct for that size pump? Or if after they do their calculations and the pump needs a higher per gallon per minute pump, would that suffice?
This
Because
gear will
I don't-
definitely suffice. This is 13,000 volt gear.
I have no idea about electrical work.
Okay.
Would that take care of a 750 gallon minute pump or 1,000
Yes.
gallon a minute pump?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think the issue, and I'm not debating about the connection, Peter. I agree with you.
Thank you.
My approach was to try and reuse what was there. This is not an inexpensive solution.
I know, but
make
we're
this
doing at least a
100%
$3 million renovation on this building, new fire pump, and that's where we're getting it. We're saving, I don't know, what could we be saving? $60,000 to jeopardize that the fire pump won't work, and that's where I can't see it.
Well, I think it's significantly more than 60, but
Yeah,
I get your point.
It's priceless when you compare it to the fire pump. All we have to do is have this switch be opened up, or these fuses blow out, where the fire pump will be useless in this fashion if it gets approved.
Well, how many different failure scenarios do we need to account for? I mean, we're already postulating that there's a fire within the building. This
We tap
gear is
ahead of the
outside
main
of the
service
building.
disconnect. And then
So
we'll
that's a
eliminate
second
them.
failure. You're saying that this gear is also failing.
The tap ahead of the service disconnect, and then we take it up and over and avoid all, there's one fail, possible two fail, and three fails if we do it right.
When you say three fails, can you go through those?
We have fusing, we have switch 1 and switch 2, and we also have switch 3 right here, the main service switch. All of them switches could be opened and we have no power to the building.
Well, that's what the signage is intended to address, is which switches open and which switches stay closed.
I don't see it.
Well, and Peter, you're saying the code is it has to be
Ahead
front
of
the-
the service disconnecting means to eliminate any of these possible failures. Because as we know, is if this switch is opened up for predictive maintenance, preventive maintenance, somebody has to do something to it, it blows up. I mean, we have preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance, and an explosion, a fuse failure. That's where all that stuff is eliminated. If we tap ahead, that's why it says in the code, it shall be directly ahead of the service disconnecting means to eliminate all that. Like I said, this, as soon as I seen it, I flagged it.
What would be needed to take care of that? What would they have to do?
Probably spend another $60,000.
So what would be needed would be a tap into the medium voltage line. We would have to have a disconnect switch. We would have to have a new CT and PT cabinet because it needs to be metered by Pico. And all that gear would need to be located outside of the building. So I think we're working at medium voltage takes a specialized electrician to work on medium voltage gear. It's not inexpensive. I think we're easily in the six figures on that modification.
George, can you also speak to the space limitations?
Yeah, we would have to locate all the new gear in a different location from where this existing gear is located. The enclosure behind the building there's no space for, essentially we're looking at, we need this section here, that's the metering cabinet, and then we would need another one of these sections. So half of this gear needs to be accommodated somewhere on the premises. And right now, if we're forced to do this, then we're probably looking at a location in one of the parking lots. Probably the one on the east side, because that's where the Pico service comes in. We would have to set up a manhole, tap into the Pico service, and then go to this gear.
This should be caught in design phase. I mean, this is in plan review phase. I understand, but I think this should have been worked out when we started looking at the alteration, the installation of the new fire pump. Now we're here and we're talking about that it costs too much money. It should have been factored into design, I think.
Jace, when will you have the calculations to see if this fire pump that they're putting in is right?
It'll be after we issue out the building permit. So it would be during the fire suppression phase. That's what they're at right now. before any of the trade permits get issued out, the building permit has to be issued.
So the building permit has to be issued first.
Yep, before any of the trade permits can be issued.
Is the building permit issued?
I have a building permit presently.
Okay,
Now, with that said, the fire sprinkler work is not associated, to my understanding, with my building permit, but the fire pump electrical power is, and it will be.
could it possibly be, did you look at a diesel fire pump?
We have not, no.
I think that would be a
Your
safer
contractor,
solution. That would be a
you're-
safer solution than hooking up the fire pump service in this fashion.
that would. Did your sprinkler contractor tell you that?
And that contractor is outside of, they're contracted directly with the owner.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't been too acquainted with them. No one on this call has. I'm familiar with them. We're beginning coordination because they were approaching a point where they felt they were going to obtain their permit. So we began communicating with them about pipe installation, just with respect to ours for coordination practices.
Can I think we ought to caucus.
Yeah, one quick question.
Sure.
And this is totally naive. So you mentioned, I guess, service disconnect 2 is for future space that is not, going to be protected at this point. And if that's the case, with the kind of space constraints you were talking about, if that weren't to happen, does that allow you to do things in this location that you can't do if you have both service disconnect 1 and 2?
So Ted, that service disconnect 2 serves an existing pad mounted transformer that's located in this same physical enclosure. There's nothing connected to that transformer now. The owner has some master plan in effect that may utilize the capacity in that pad mounted transformer in the future. But the long and short of it is that no, there's not physical space to be able to do what I described earlier.
Okay, thanks.
Is there any portions of the building not going to be sprinklered?
But no, it has to be fully sprinklered according to.
It has to be fully sprinkled.
Yes.
Is the calculations based on a fully sprinklered system?
That was what the assignment was to B&M, yes.
So the sprinkler system was put in without permits?
There was an existing sprinkler system, and where they are not doing the expanding it until they get a permit, but they ordered the fire pump, and that is in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to just kind of point out. So, and my understanding is this all predates my company and my existence. They had existing fire pumps that George kind of alluded to earlier or spoke on that failed in a fire, I believe. However, and this is an effort to replace those ultimately. So the existing system is not functional, but there is some new pipe that had been being installed. It's a minor amount, is my understanding, but yes.
Okay, let's caucus. Got that breakaway room? Okay. Everybody on? Okay, before we get started, I know about this job. I was out on the project, okay? I am the business manager of the Sprinkler Fitters Union. Okay, I was asked to take a look at that to see if we could fix that job for gratis, for free. And I went to the project with my coordinators and the teachers of our school and a business agent. And the thing is that I said to, and I talked to the people there, I said, look, there's not a whole lot I can do here. If you want to give me the prints, we can look at it, and if we could do something to help you guys out, because I know you don't have any money, we would try to do that. Well, I've never got the prints or anything like that, so I just want to let you people know the extent I was there, okay? The thing is, if you want me to recuse myself from the hearing, I certainly will. But I will never, I've been in this business 50 years. 50 years. And I would never put anyone in danger if I think something's wrong. So I just want you to know that. And so with that, if you know, if it's just one person say it, I'll recuse myself. Okay. And if not, we'll continue. All right. If anybody has an issue, please bring it up. I just was on that job with the coordinators to do a gratis job, and it was just too overwhelming for my apprentices to do that. So I just want to let you know that. With that, if we continue, I got a question for John Dines from the fire department. John, after you hearing what Peter said, what do you think about, do you have any different feelings now with the shut off being in front of everything else?
Yeah, Wayne, like I said, my expertise in electrical is limited. When the fire department, I know that's not what you're asking. But you know, when we go to a job or the fire department goes to the job, I mean, we go to the spots we know in dwellings in the basement, shut off the main panel, stuff like that. We assume at that particular point that, you know, things are de-energized. What the expert, I guess the electrical expert, had said that there are other ways and things can fail. And the appellant talked about, well, how many fail safes do we need? Again, I don't have any experience at that. What I know is this: when we get there and we shut off the utilities and we have manpower, you know, personnel inside, we don't want to be spraying water or on, you know, energized electrical equipment. Things can come down. There could be partial collapses and stuff like that. They could start secondary fires and stuff like that. We want to make sure as possible that it is de-energized, and you could scenario anything to death. And I know there's differences of opinion here and listening to the case. I can't speak to how many levels, like in fire service, everything's redundancy, right? You have redundant fire pumps and high rises and stuff like that. You have fail safe. What is the threshold where it becomes ridiculous? It's like, we got to think of every possible thing, or, hey, this is good enough. I can't go to that, but what I can say is this, is, you know, there should be some redundancy. If there's anything, we shut off that power. And if there's a possibility based on one thing failing and then it's still energized, you know, but when we go 2, 3, 4 layers down, maybe not so much. So I know I'm talking a little bit of a circle right now, but I feel that if I would defer to the electrical inspector or the electrical person on this thing, that if we shut something off, it should be off. And it's just that simple. And there shouldn't be a way, minus somebody turning that switch back on, that it should energize itself accidentally. That's about all I can say.
Lieutenant Dines, if I may, when you go there, if it's done in the correct fashion per code, all of them switches you would shut off. Like you say, you don't want nobody getting zapped, spraying a hose. you would be able to, if it's done in the correct fashion, you will be able to shut off all of them switches. That, if it's done correct, bypasses all of that switchgear and the power goes into the fire pump room where you want power. That would be the only place that you want power if it's done correctly. That's why it states in the codes that it's supposed to be done ahead of the service disconnecting, means knowing that when you go there, you've directed somebody to open up all of them switches because you got things blowing up and people, you know, at risk. You could do that, and that's where it comes in at, that you will only have power in that fire pump room. That's why it's supposed to be done ahead of the service disconnecting means.
Okay. So what you're saying to me is there's still a possibility if it wasn't done that way, that something could still get energized. Is that what you're saying?
No, that if, like you said, when you go to that
Back panel, he was showing this. I'm sorry.
right, and you have all of them switches, and you
We shut them all off.
you could open up all of them switches where there's no power to the building. When it's done correct, that power bypasses all of that. That's supposed to go up, down, over, up, and around, and only to the fire pump room where you only have power to the fire pump, which is the only thing that we want running. Like we say,
I get all that. Yep.
The fire pump's designed for this building to be crumbling, melting, and the whole nine to be the service conductors. Everything's designed, the fuses is designed to for this motor to melt while you still have water pumping. But if it's done in this fashion, I could open up anything and then I have no fire pump, and you think you're going into a sprinkler building and the fire pump's not operating.
Right.
The idea came up of putting the fire pump on an emergency generator. Would that be a viable option?
That's an option.
Having a backup generator just for the fire pump? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So would we still be required to correct the condition of the connection at the switchgear? If
I
we
would have to
did
address the
diesel?
code for, if you keep it in that fashion, you would be the feeder stage. You would have to look up feeders with alternate, source of power. I'd have to go into the code book. This is something that I would be able to do on the fly.
I would imagine, Peter, that you'll find that it still needs to be ahead of the service.
Yeah, well, like you say, when you get the feeder that you have to look at the code and see where it says if it still has to be done ahead of the service disconnecting means, then yes.
Okay, how about a diesel pump? You put a diesel pump in there, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Right, Pete? You know, I don't know the cost of a diesel pump because I don't know what size you would need. I don't know what the calculations say. But is that a possibility? Look, I know you guys don't have any money. All right, I know, and you're doing a great thing there. For people, you're helping people with food and all. Let's try to work together to get this up online. If all possible, look at every single thing, you know, and because you know you're doing the work of the good angels, and I appreciate that. But we got to, if we can do it the right way or whatever we can, if we can put a diesel pump in there instead of an electric pump, you know, I think that would work. But I don't know I don't know everything else about the system in there. You know what I mean? If it's installed properly or the calculations are right and the pipe sizes are right and all the other stuff. You know, George, what do you think about that?
I think that's a definite viable option. And I think if the outcome of this hearing is that we're not going to be allowed to maintain the existing connection, then I see three options. I see the first option is that we have to buy electrical gear to connect ahead of the service. Second option is perhaps a generator that we dedicate to the fire pump. And the third option would be a diesel fire pump. The unfortunate thing is that Chair has bought the electric fire pump and it's been installed. So it's sitting down there de-energized. And if we went with the diesel, then that's throwing money away, unfortunately.
Well, I think we
but-
first, we first need to wait and see with the calculations if that pump is viable.
Right. Yeah, our inclination is to continue the case until, we'd like to be able to make a decision knowing that the calculations bear out the size of the pump. I mean, if it turns out that the pump that's already been installed is not big enough, then, that informs your decision about, which step to go forward. So that's kind of.
We'll continue the case to see what can be done. Now, the thing is my question would be, and if I was in Janice's spot or George's, I would say, well, if I do put in the diesel fire pump, would you still be against this, or would you give us a variance? That would be a question. Would the same thing as the emergency generator or a special generator, would we give you a variance? Myself, and not speaking for Ted or Amy, I would be inclined to say yes. Because I seen the building. It's like, the thing is that I think that would be fine if you did the emergency generator, you did the thing. At least it wouldn't, if the switchgear was shut down, it wouldn't injure the firemen that are working in there. You know what I mean? So, that's how I feel, and I don't know how Amy or Ted feel, but so if we can continue this, so but I know you need to be reassured. If you did all this, would we still give you the variance?
Yeah, I think I'm inclined similarly, but we want to.
You need to know the calculations and stuff
The
like that.
calculations and evaluate the different options, and come back and let's talk about them once that's happened.
And
Okay.
Dennis, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, sorry, I did have a question for Jace. I know that they resubmitted materials and you said that this is where they're at. We're looking at calculations. Do you feel those calculations that you've received are reviewable at this time?
So I haven't reviewed this application, but the due date's October 24th. So you'll know by the end of next week whether it's compliant or not. Based on the previous change marks or the comments that they had. Let me take a look. Sorry, it's loading.
Well, I didn't want to take everyone's time, but I thank the board for your consideration and we'll do our homework.
Based on the examiner's previous comments, it looks like he requested some sprinkler heads in certain areas. So as long as you address that, I think it should be okay. But you should check in with the fire suppression contractor and the examiner to make sure that it's been complied with by October 24th.
Do you still have the same contractor that did the installation, or did you have a new contractor?
Same one.
Okay.
But it does sound like the fire pump is adequately sized.
Okay, good. Good.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll continue it.
Thank you.
You say it's the right calculations, Jace?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do the review, but the examiner didn't reference anything about any issues with the calc, so I have to go by what they reviewed.
And can I ask you a question? Do they check that the pump's the right size?
So it gives you like an output of what needs to be provided for the system to work, and they did provide that.
And the contractor submitted that?
Yep.
Okay. And then when you guys check that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So that's one issue, at least the 500 gallon minute pump, so you, it's either the emergency generator, diesel. If you can go by that. Okay, guys, and we'll continue it when you got, we're gonna schedule for next meeting. Deb, how do we do it?
The next hearing is November 2nd.
November 2nd, is that all right, guys? Okay, all right,
Yeah.
then we'll see you November 2nd.
Thanks again.
All right,
Thanks,
you very
Dennis.
much.
Thanks, George. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Pete.
And I'll just
Thank
send
you,
this new
guys.
link out. Oh.
Thanks,
like I
everyone.
did this week.
Okay,
Is November 2nd.
Okay.
November 2nd, Thursday. I'm not sure of the time just yet.
thank you. Perfect. Okay, I'm Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ted August, board member.
John Dimes, fire code.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
Jay Scoria, Department of License and Inspections.
Yeah. All right, in the case, you guys will be testifying. I'll swear you in individually. Plato, raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Good. Maria, are you a lawyer, Maria?
I am not. I am daughter
Okay,
of.
good. All right, could you please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
Sure, I can. My camera's not on.
Oh, that's okay, just
Well,
respond,
no,
yes?
we need a visual. We're supposed to. Her camera should be on.
Plato, you know Maria?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Okay. All right, say I do.
I do.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and then work on getting on visually. All right,
Excuse me,
Phil, you want to
Chairman.
throw that into the record?
Sorry,
sir.
Chairman, can you have Maria spell her last name?
Maria, spell your last name, please.
PETROGIANNNIS.
Okay, good. All right, Phil, put that into the record, please.
This is case number 2 on today's list, MI 2023-005-677 for the property located at 1344 through 1348 Ellsworth Street. The appellant is Plato Marinakos. He's
Okay,
present in the-
Plato, you want to tell us about the case?
Yeah, okay. I have some prepared remarks here. So, and I also put the drawings up. I don't know if you can see the screen or not.
We can see him.
Okay, great. So I have a couple exhibits and I'll just go through this. Good afternoon. This is an existing 3-story building with a basement located at 1344-48 Ellsworth. My client, MR Realty LP, purchased the property in March 2023. The previous owner, JT Capital Group, only obtained a use zoning permit on or about February 2nd, 2023. However, they did not get any building permits or a CO for the building. And L&I mandated on their zoning permit that a building permit must be obtained by August 28th, 2023. Plato Studio performed a visual and architectural survey of the existing building. We used tape measure, LiDAR scanning equipment, and photography to document the existing conditions. No material testing or destructive testing was conducted on the property. We produced a bunch of as-built drawings depicting the existing conditions of the property, and we filed for a building permit on June 14th, 2023. And the city issued a refusal for the building permit application on August 28th, 2023. My client would like to get these building code issues resolved, and I hear we're here to seek a variance on his behalf, on her behalf. Before I can review the code issues, I need to give a brief history of the building. Since 1952, the building was a funeral home on the first floor and a 2 residential units on floors 2 and 3, 2 units on the second floor and 2 units on the third floor.
And then around 1952, the fire marshal ordered fire escapes to be installed. And these fire escapes still exist today. So if you look at our drawings, they're in the back shown, and also have photographs of them. They're kind of in the model here. You can see there's fire escapes in the rear that go from the third floor to the second, and from the second to the first. And they're photographs. You can see them. Here's one of the fire escapes. There's another picture of the fire escape in the back, that they're there. So at some point, the previous owner or owners, and I'm not sure of the record here, but converted the first floor funeral parlor into 2 more residential units. The date of this conversion is not known, and there are no building permits that exist or anything like that. So currently, as the building sits today, there are 6 units in the building, 2 on the first floor, 2 on the second, and 2 on the third. The basement at the time of our survey was vacant. The foundations are stone walls. The exterior walls are brick, load bearing. There are a couple interior brick walls. The floors are dimensional lumber. The interior partitions are wood stud with plaster and or sheetrock. In my professional architectural opinion, with a reasonable degree of certainty, the construction's 3B. So the owner proposes the following upgrades. There's a current fire alarm that is upgraded and addressable to the fire department, and that was certified on June 27th, 2023. The owner will, I'm lost my place here. I'm sorry. The owner will also will put 1-hour doors on all the apartments. If you look at the apartments, there's, go back to the plans. I apologize here. There's doors on the third floor plan here. There's at the top of the stairs, there's a door to this apartment. There's a door into this apartment. On the second floor, there's a door into this apartment and one into this apartment. And then on the first floor, the apartments have their own separate entrances to the exterior. So I don't think we need rated doors there on those 2 apartments. And then the fire escape, I think there needs to be handrails for people, because typically a 3-story building will only need 1 exit. We're prepared to put a handrail to get people out onto the fire escape, and God forbid if there was a fire, to egress out of the building. And then the owner's requesting like a 2-year CO because they own the building on the corner. So eventually they want to take this building, consolidate it with the other building, and demolish it and make a brand new building with a hotel or ground floor retail. So they just need more time to do that. So that's basically, I'm kind of rambled on there, but that's sort of the lay of the land here.
Are the units currently occupied?
Yes.
All 6 of them?
No, one unit's vacant right now. I think the third floor on the corner is vacant, I believe. This unit here.
So when do you say you're gonna start knocking this down? Or combining and knocking the 2 buildings down?
Right now, the timetable, I'm not sure of the timetable, but we have to consolidate the lots and also go in for a zoning variance, because this is CMX2 and you're not allowed to have hotel in CMX2. So there'll be a variance or some kind of zoning relief that we'll need to seek there.
The unit on the corner is the zoning.
I'm sorry, Amy.
The unit that they want to combine with is the diner that's currently on the corner?
Yes, the diner, the Broad Street Diner, and right now we have a zoning permit for, I think it's 31 units. But 4 stories with a commercial space. But there's been interest in hotels and, there's some hotels looking at it right now. I can't really talk about that part of it,
Okay,
but
that's fine.
yeah, but the idea is to consolidate the lots, so you go block to block. And then you'll have parking and all that stuff on the site.
And the time frame? Did you say 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years, that's for us would be a reasonable amount of time for us to consolidate, have an orderly transition of the existing tenants. And then knock the building down, get a demo permit and do all that work.
So Wayne, we should probably go through each of the refusal items.
Yeah, okay, I got you. All right,
First one has to do with the sprinkler system, but
Yes.
we don't have one. I'm just curious, Jason, if you can tell us what triggered it. I think they always had R2.
Yeah, so they're converting. Can you guys hear me? You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
I can hear you.
Okay. So it looks like they're legalizing the alterations from a funeral parlor that's a group B to an R2 to add more dwelling units on the first floor level. So there's a bunch of refusals. There's some existing conditions from what I've seen, and the examiner called it out. So I'll go with the first one. The first one is sprinkler coverage is required because they're converting a business use to a residential use. And because there's an extension fire area, it needs to be sprinkled throughout. So they're not going to provide the sprinkler system based on that. That's the first one. The second one, I'm guessing because of existing conditions, they weren't able to document. But I'm going to share my screen just to show you. You mind unsharing your screen, Plato, so I can
Yeah,
share my
sure.
screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me know when you see my screen.
we see it.
Okay. So this is the first one with the sprinkler system. The second one, when there's a change of occupancy from a higher hazard category to when it's compared to a higher hazard category, so it'll be from a business use to an R2. Basically, everything has to comply. In this case, existing stairways, including handrails and guards, are required to comply with Chapter 9. But it says here, whereas existing stairways and associated handrail dimensions are not documented to conform compliance. So I think that needs to be provided, Plato. There was also because of the increase in higher hazard category, the existing windows to serve the R2 dwelling units, that wasn't documented. So we need to confirm compliance with that.
Yeah, I think those windows, we can be compliant there with that. I think we can show that. And the stairway, there's pie stairways on the second floor that I don't think are conforming.
Yeah, so I think that's the next refusal. The stairway widths are required to be 36 inches, but they only have a width of 34 inches. That's the existing condition. The other one, I'm pretty sure these are existing conditions. The openings in the interior exit stairways. Basically, they have a laundry room and closet open out into the exit enclosure. Anything that isn't normally occupied is not permitted to open directly into the stair enclosure, and that's an existing condition. And the next one is fire door enclosures. They're required to be 1 hour rated, but
they're definitely not 1 hour rated.
They're definitely not, or they are.
They're not. I mean, they're not. I didn't see a tag or anything on there, so
Right.
that would be my recommendation, to put fire doors on there to protect the apartments from the hallway, basically.
Yeah. Other thing was the fire resistance ratings of the actual interior exit enclosure. They're not documented. They needed to be documented to conform compliance. If it doesn't connect the basement, it only requires a 1 hour rating, but I think you guys didn't do any destructive testing to confirm, right?
We didn't. And again, it's all existing, so it wasn't like, I don't know if there's any concealed space, or I mean, this building was built like a long time ago, so I don't know if it's 5/8 or what kind of drywall it is, but I mean, we can confirm that too. I mean, we can go in there and do a little testing, and see if we can
I'm
get
pretty sure
some
the
kind of-
plan examiner asked you for all this, and that's the reason why he decided to go with the refusal route. The other
Yeah.
one was the separating of the dwelling units, where the existing fire resistant ratings of the dwelling unit separations are not documented to conform compliance. They're required to be 1 hour
Yeah,
separated.
again, I don't know how we do that because it was built, I didn't observe the construction, and it's hard for me to certify that there's a 1 hour separation.
Right.
That's why it's,
So there's several refusal items when it comes to this existing building. Are you doing alterations throughout, Plato, or are you just
correct.
doing
Well,
the first?
I'm
Are you doing alterations throughout, or just
Well,
the first?
the alterations, we were documenting the existing conditions, and we wanted to get some advice from you guys because of this situation of, you know, having the building for 2 years until we can demolish it and take, and then, so we wanted to discuss options because of all the existing conditions.
Right. So, you know, for example, this closet's not permitted to open.
That's a laundry room closet?
No, the laundry rooms are to the left here. It's basically a laundry room to the, you can see it on the
Oh, right
lower
here.
left. Yeah, that's where that is.
Yeah, this laundry room open into it, this closet. Yeah, I think that's okay.
Yeah, the basement's only accessible from the first floor units.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
there's
I mean,
no,
as long as it's separated and this whole exit enclosure isn't connecting 4 stories, then I think you're okay.
yeah,
As long as that 1 hour is separating, then technically the stair enclosure is only spanning 3 stories if you separate it. But like I said, the examiner can't give you a thorough review unless you give us all the fire separations between all the assemblies.
yeah.
And that's the reason why the
Sorry, you said you had photos of the, I guess, the stairways that aren't wide enough?
Yeah, the one stair going from the second to the third is really narrow. It's only like 34 inches. It's barely like, it's very tight. Because I think it's the existing stair of when it was a house. These were probably houses at one time that were combined, made apartments in the 30s or 40s. And then the funeral home was there, and then it's sort of been done organically.
Is that it on the bottom left?
Yeah, you could, yeah, there it is. That's the stair that goes to the third floor. It's kind of narrow. But
I'm gonna guess the stairs are steep.
the stairs are steep. Yep. They're not conforming to 7-Eleven for sure.
Do the existing doors have closers on them, or are they?
No, we would put closers and make them flat. I would
Okay.
change the doors out and put closers. Yeah, with the fire. That's a good point, Ted. We would do that. That's the basement. There's residential belongings down there from the, I guess, the tenant on the first floor. And that stair goes up to that apartment within the apartment, so it doesn't go to the right, doesn't connect to the upper stair. And that's the other basement on the smaller basement to the one on the right is all mechanical, just the mechanical units.
You talked about upgrading the fire alarm system.
It is upgraded and it's certified as of June 27th this year. And I think I had a copy. I think we submitted that, but we can't submit it. I mean, it's all.
Jace, what's the time limit on a TCO. I mean, I know they're not asking for that. I assume this is sort of beyond what,
I think he is asking for that.
well,
Usually, I don't think it's more than 180 days if I'm correct.
Yeah.
I'll double check. I'm pretty sure it's 180 days though.
Thing is, how about,
And you can't get a TCO if you don't provide we call fire suppression. I actually I'm thinking about different this is if you're hosting an event or something, but TCO usually is by the inspector, and if you don't provide the required fire suppression, they're not gonna.
Okay.
Yeah, if it was like for a short-term event, it's different. But
you may have already said this, but is your client willing to, limit the extent of time if a variance were granted, that at which point all bets are off?
I think we're pushing forward with our plans for the consolidation. We were thinking 2 years, but if it's less, I think he would be amenable to that too.
Aim, Ted, do you want to go in the breakout room?
Sure.
Okay. Excuse up for a minute.
Thank you.
Yeah, there he is.
Okay. All right, Plato, here's what we're looking at.
Okay.
April 30th, we're gonna do this on a temporary CO of 180 days. So
Okay.
we're gonna give you to April 30th of 24, and you come
Okay.
back, and if you're still in the process, then we'll do another TCO, we'll extend it. But
Okay.
we just want to keep an eye on what's going on. We don't know if you'll sell it, if the things fall through, things like that.
That,
You know what
that
I
makes
mean?
sense. That makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
we'll schedule you for the second hearing in April.
In
and
April.
Take care of that. And there are a few provisos, some that you mentioned and some, so go ahead, Wayne, with.
Yeah,
if you
go
could-
ahead.
What we're gonna do is, around the laundry room there, make sure we have a 1 hour rating on the wall, so it's there. I don't know if you have it now, if you would check it, but make sure you do that.
Okay.
What else do we were speaking of, Ted?
The 1 hour doors on closers,
Yeah,
on all
1 hour
three
doors,
apartment
yeah.
rooms and the laundry room, and I guess that closet too.
Yeah, I think you said that before, didn't you, Plato?
Well, that closet, I mean, we could delete. I don't think that closet's doing much. I think we could just
Delete
wallboard.
it.
Yeah, we could.
Okay.
I don't think. I mean, I have to check with the owner. I don't want to speak for them, but I would simplify it. I think we don't need that closet.
Yeah, jumpstart on your future demolition.
Yeah.
We also talked about, or you talked about adding handrails and guardrails to the fire escape.
Yeah, that we're just getting from the roof, to the fire escape. The fire escapes already exist. I mean, I don't know how those can be modified, but it's more, I was concerned about people leaving the third floor, crossing the roof to get to the fire escape. That was sort of where I saw the handrails.
Are they walking on the roof to get to the fire escape?
Correct.
Do they need handrails to walk on the roof? If there's no drop?
they should be protected.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think,
Okay.
I just think in a panic situation, it'd be better to get them
Oh, the night,
on
yeah.
like a, runway to the fire
Right,
escape.
and that's the other thing we would be looking for.
They're like guardrails. No.
Out of curiosity, Plato, was there a zoning variance to have residential on the ground floor?
Yeah, that's what triggered this whole thing. Back in February of this year, the second, I believe, there was a variance granted, but then there was no building. They required a building permit. So that's when my client bought it in March, he's like, we got to get a building permit. So that's when we did this survey and did all this stuff.
All right, anything else?
No, thank you very much. I appreciate, I know it's a kind of a
Right.
strange.
Good luck. All right,
I
we'll
had
see
a
you
quick
in April.
question. Hold on, I had a
Thank
quick
you
question.
so much.
Hey, Wayne.
Yes,
So so we're gonna issue out this permit. Like, how are they gonna come back in 6 months? Are they gonna file a new application or?
what do we normally do in this situation? Continue it?
No.
Because
I don't think-
you won't be able to continue it. So I guess we'll just say that a separate permit will be required after April 30th then.
Yeah, if that's what we normally do. I don't know if I'm
Jace,
not-
can you put an ending date or a flag on a permit?
For this specific one,
Like, or an expiration?
yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look for this specific permit type. I don't think you can, but I'll try to figure out a way to do it.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you, Jace.
all right, thanks,
And
Jason.
maybe we can flag something in the BBS, you know, an eclipse for the BBS appeal as well to have another one filed or something to that effect.
And I guess Plato, when when the April 30th comes up, you just file another administrative permit,
Yeah, we
document
could do
this
that,
one,
yeah.
and then
We'll put this in the calendar so we remind ourselves to do this.
Okay, good. Good. Okay,
So
Thank
this
you
is
so
the end
much.
of April. Is that what you're
the end of
saying?
April.
Correct.
Yeah, the second meeting in April, we're wanting to come back in.
See, because I have to close mine out in order for Jace to do his stuff, so I can't really, I can put a note in there somewhere that we have to revisit this, but
I'll make
again-
sure the examiner references in the permanent language too.
okay, so I mean, but you know, I have to finalize all my stuff in order for you to
No problem.
process your stuff in the system, okay?
Okay,
Really
Okay.
appreciate it, guys. Thank you so
no
much.
problem. Talk to you
Have a
guys
good night.
later.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay,
Next case is 151 North Third Street.
151 North Third.
Case number 4. Number 3 got continued to
Yes,
November
Master
15th.
Street, correct.
Mhm.
151 North Third.
I think there's 2 people here for that.
Okay, and who's here from 151 North Third? What's your first name?
My name is Mark Wallace. I'm the architect for the project. I'm from Core Design Architecture.
Hey, Mark, who else is with you?
I'm Logan Kramer. I'm the owner.
Okay. All right, you're gonna be testifying, Lou?
Yes.
Okay, all right, we'll get started. My name's Wayne Miller, board member.
Amy Rivera, board member.
Ed Agus, board member.
John Dimes, Fire Code.
Deborah Richardson, Boards Administration.
Philip Motto, Boards Administration.
Jay Scurria, Department of License and Inspections.
Okay, I want to swear you in individually, who's gonna be testifying this. Mark, we'll start with you. Could you please raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Lou, can you raise your right hand, swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. It's Logan.
Oh,
Logan,
Logan, I'm sorry, Logan, that's my fault. Okay, Logan, all right, Phil, you want to put that into the record?
Yes, sir. This is case number 4 on today's list. MI 2023-005-762 for the property located at 151 North Third Street. The appellant was Eric Madsen. We have Logan Kramer and Mark Wallace in the room to testify.
Okay, whoever's gonna present the case, go ahead.
All right, I will.
Just so we understand, who is the applicant? That's not.
The applicant, our expediter is from Permit Philly, Brett Matson.
Okay,
Okay, to start, we are 151 North Third Street, a historically designated existing 5-story masonry building with wooden, with dimensional lumber framing. It's currently being used as different commercial uses. And we are looking to convert the upper 4 floors into 3 residential units. 1 flat at the second, 1 flat at the third, and 1 bi-level 3rd or 4th and 5th floor. Essentially with this being historic, we're not going to do any modifications to the front facade. We're going to do minimal repairs to the rear facade. But the biggest question is with the limited footprint that we have here, the ability to get 2 stair towers into this structure and discharge one to the front, one to the back to meet our remoteness is going to be very difficult. We need up a high percentage of the square footage here. It is our belief with the minimal occupancy here and the upgrades we are proposing, we're hopeful that you guys will grant us relief from the 2nd stair tower. Our initial inclination was to try to leave the existing vertical circulation in place and up the rating around that. Since then, we would like to pivot from that and install a modern stair tower with all the required clearances and fire ratings to eliminate about 3 or 4 of the refusals, 1 for the rise and run, 1 for the landing sizes and the discharge size. So we'll still be seeking relief from the single stair tower and the occupancy issues at the upper floors. So with this building being a 3B building, we are proposing to upgrade the sprinkler system to a full NFPA 13 system, not a 13R. This would allow us to go 5 stories if it was a 3B new construction, along with installing the required standpipes. There's no fire suppression system currently in this building. All of the floors in this building are exposed, so it is just lumber the entire way up. We are proposing the proper compartmentalization with a 2-hour rating at the 2nd floor to separate the business use from the R2 use, and 1 hour separation in between each unit moving up. And I believe, I'm sorry. So this was the plan that was presented to L&I. We shipped on Monday, we sent to the our expediter to send over to you our revised floor plan. Now this, we didn't have time to turn this into the complete construction document that we were looking for, but we wanted to demonstrate essentially that we have a full large stair tower now in the middle of this building that will middle towards the rear that will discharge into our rear easement and out to the right of way on Quarry Street.
Sorry, can you show that on the ground floor and the lower floor plans?
Yes, sir. So this is the 1st floor here. So we have a straight run stair with the proper clearances required for the doors in the bottom of the landing that then would come up to the 2nd floor, and from there it changes to a switchback that has the single means of egress from each unit moving up.
And does the locations shift between the 3rd and 4th? Sorry, can you just
yeah, so it just looks a little bit different because this is the straight run coming down, and then as the stair cuts, it turns into the switchback as it comes up. So it does start to stack as it moves up through the plan. So each unit has a full 5-foot clearance plus the depth of the stair tower, which I believe is 7.5, both staircases and clearance in between them.
Elevator?
I'm sorry, what?
Is there an elevator?
There is an elevator. The elevator is only for the upper unit. It is rated and compartmentalized from the on the 1st floor. We provide a lobby to separate it, the elevator itself, and then we are proposing to remove right now we're still showing the stops at the 2nd and 3rd floor. It is our intention to remove them.
And what's the travel distance from the roof deck to the stair tower?
The travel distance from the roof deck to the stair tower,
I think it says 160 feet.
There's something about
160.
And what's out the back of the building? Is it an alley? Is it a street?
It is a 7-foot wide easement that access directly to Quarry Street. Let's see what here. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't really see it here. It's a little pixelated to see the actual the alley. Essentially, this is the first stop on this. This is not a full CD set. We wanted to get your opinion before we move forward with both historic and a full CD set. We just wanted to see if this was something that you saw as viable before we move forward.
I saw it looked like the cellar projects out under the rear yard.
It does. It projects out under the right of way in the front. It must have been an existing pole vault or something. It's just a concrete box down there now. Our plan is to use the cellar for individual storage lockers for the tenants.
Oh, okay.
And we do have a little bit of I'm sorry, a little bit of back of house for the commercial space. So we have rated and separated from the storage. We have an office and some mechanical to service the first floor commercial.
So, sorry, I think I didn't quite understand this. With for the residential units, the access is coming actually from 4th Street, kind of a.
It's coming off Quarry
Street.
Off of Quarry Street. Okay, that's.
And you have a big open lot back on Quarry.
There will be a building built up against that easement, but so the clearance will be 7 feet out to the right of way. I believe there's 2 parcels in between ours and Quarry. I can bring up
Wait, isn't that access from North 3rd Street?
So
to
there's,
the residential units. No, it will just be from the easement in the rear.
just to better explain it, so the commercial unit will have access to the front to 3rd Street.
Right.
And then for the basement storage, that will have 2 means of egress. It'll have the staircase to get you up to the 1st floor and out the back of the building on the quarry. Also, there's an access hatch where the side, basically where the building goes underneath the sidewalk. It's a historic building. It was built back in the early 1800s. It's actually a pretty cool and unique feature it has. And then in regards to the 2nd floor unit, we have the staircase as the main egress component. The building is historic, and outside of historic giving us a hard time with adding like a front fire escape or a rear fire escape. One thing that I would personally prefer to do, and I'll actually be living in the 4th floor, 5th floor unit myself. I'm fine with putting like those throw down fire escapes that could be situated where the front windows are, but it'd be sitting inside the unit. So, you know, unless there was a fire, you wouldn't know that they're there. So they'd be hidden out of sight. So the building would look like a beautiful building back from the 1800s. We could, have great respect for the front facade and the rear facade, but also have a temporary second means of egress in the event of a fire.
Mark, can you show us the footprint of this building on a site plan so we understand everything else?
I don't know if I have
the whole lot.
Mark, I think I can pull something like that up.
Maybe Google Earth or something.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it, but I'd like to see it on a site plan.
I don't believe we have a full site plan drafted up.
I have the subdivision plan I can show, if you allow me to screen share. So to explain this a little better, this is the 5-story building right here, which is 151 North 3rd Street. The commercial unit will egress out here. There's Bilco doors here as well. So, you know, God forbid there was a fire, someone was in the basement, just they'd be down there for storage only. There's a second means of egress there. There is going to be there's a new easement we're creating. It's a 7-foot wide here, goes to 12 feet wide here. This we're building a condo building on over here. This is going to be like a shared like pathway. It's to be very nicely landscaped with pavers, look beautiful. But this will be kind of the main entry and egress point, both for 151 North 3rd Street as well as 225 Quarry Street, which is the new parcel we're creating over here.
Why couldn't a stair tower be put on the back of that building
The issue
as the main entrance for those tenants?
So the building's historic, so we would need to get historic approval to put like a fire escape on the back of the building.
I'm not
And
talking about fire escape, I'm talking about a real stair tower.
back here, you're saying?
Well, or in that, what you're proposing for an easement.
Well, I think the biggest problem with that is any stair tower that we're placing in that easement is gonna block off our light and air into those bedrooms that are in the rear.
And I think outside of a light and air aspect, it creates a zoning variance for coverage issues. And also where we're currently locating our staircase currently is like right here. The existing one sits, I'm just kind of draw a box here for you. The existing staircase for the building sits like right here. We're open to creating a new one, which will be compliant rise and run, and it'll be situated here, but a rear staircase, like a second one over here, would give the same like bedrooms and everything, the same amount of egress. So it wouldn't really help you at the front of the building. And the front of the building is historic. I mean, this thing was a beautiful cigar factory back from the 1800s. And outside of historic, probably not approving a giant metal looking exterior staircase, I mean, an exterior fire escape on this, I think it would just really ruin the architecture of the building. And if this was a 12-unit building where 4 or 5 units were becoming non-compliant, I would understand it a bit more. But with this being just like 1 unit, that it would be a non-compliant unit that's a bi-level 4th, 5th floor, I feel like the additional fire escapes, additional fire rating, the NFP sprinkler system that we're putting in, I feel like we're doing a lot of things to bring this, you know, go above and beyond here.
So the architectural plans that we saw, were they upside down from this? You're saying?
Yes,
Okay,
180 degrees.
all right, so south was up, not north was up, which was confusing, but okay.
Do we have any other questions?
So Jace, is that correct that only one apartment is non-compliant with the stairs? Don't you need 2 stair towers from the 3rd floor?
The 4th, 5th, and roof deck is not compliant, so because
That is
the
one
bylaw-
unit though.
It is
One
one
unit.
unit.
Okay.
And I'll be the owner occupant of that unit as well.
So you
I don't currently occupy this. The upstairs looks pretty crazy.
No, that wasn't what I was gonna ask, sorry. You own the adjacent parcel, which is the asphalt parking lot where the 1-story addition is being demolished.
Correct. So there's gonna be over here a 6-story new construction.
What's roughly the footprint of that? Is that already determined?
It is determined, yeah. It's roughly speaking, I could kind of roughly draw it here for you. It's something like, it's kind of like this.
Huh.
Like
And,
that.
and what's happening under the footprint of that one-story addition that's being demolished?
That's gonna be our rear yard.
Okay, forgetting about the proximity of this, of the stairs, if you were to do what I'm gonna ask about, but you've sort of chosen to put that stair, the new stair tower where you've decided to put it. But if you, in the sort of upper right-hand corner of the building, if you were to go out along the wall, kind of east-west of that four-story adjacent building, the 153, if you had a, yeah, I mean, but right off the back of the building, if you accessed a exterior, it's not a stair tower and it's not a fire escape, it's an exterior non-combustible steel stair. You could have a landing that's, 3 feet by 3 feet and steps down that would go discharge into that yard. That I know it's not part of this property, but it's part of properties that you control. And that would only need to come down from the fourth floor, I believe, Jace. It would be, or I'm sorry, from the third floor. That would be for the unit that is on the third and, or I'm sorry, are we fourth and fifth?
Fourth and fifth is my unit.
Yeah, fourth and fifth plus roof deck. So yeah, it would need to come down from the fourth floor. Third floor and second floor would not need to access that. I mean,
As long as this travel distance on the third floor is compliant. I'm not sure what the travel distance is to the exit enclosure.
yeah, well, there's that, and there's the proximity, the close, closeness of the two stairs. But I'm wondering if that's, physically possible and would meet the code, Jace, I guess, if that, I
It
understand.
wouldn't meet the code, but we could give a variance.
Yeah, I mean, it would involve an easement from your neighbor who happens to be yourself.
I think he was
I think remoteness would be the only issue, because if there's two exits provided there, it would eliminate the travel distance one, because the travel distance would go up to 250 feet.
When there's two exits, yeah, you're saying on the fourth floor.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of one or the other. You kind of get a feel like it doesn't meet one of them, whichever one you, whether you give the variance for the remoteness or the travel distance.
Yeah.
If improvement outside the building isn't going to be compliant zoning wise, did you look into a scissor stair?
No, but that would still also take up probably an additional 120 to 150 square feet from these units. And for the location and what they are, that would make these units not ideal.
Okay.
The other thing too, we would have to get this stair tower that you guys are proposing. We have to get that through historic, which I think would be an uphill battle.
Historic will usually allow it as if it's in the rear of the building.
Better than what you have now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at it on Google. It's basically a vertical ladder turned perpendicular to the rear wall that goes all the way up to that top story. Very scary.
That was not me, just to say.
I know, but I looked it up and that's scary.
Yeah, that is the other thing. So this building was purchased with a laundry list of violations that we plan on cleaning up.
We're not. I own quite a few properties in the city. I'm a very good landlord developer. This is gonna be my pride and joy. I'm very excited to live in the top unit myself. And yeah, I don't have violations on my properties, but yeah, I bought it from a person who she lives out in California and was not taking care of the property. And yeah, I'm here to make it compliant, both fire wise and code wise, and just want to give another breath of fresh air for another 100 years into this beautiful historic structure. So
could you provide a 2-hour separation between the third and fourth floors?
Absolutely.
I think you were doing that between 1 and 2.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
And we plan on putting like gypcrete in here and everything as well, which I believe gypcrete does have some fire rating to it as well, I believe.
A concrete topping does. I'm not sure about gypcrete, Jace, do you know?
I know it gives you sound attenuation, but
But yeah, I mean, if increasing the rating between the individual levels, I think that is, we can definitely provide that.
Fire department?
I mean, you know my history with this question with two stairs, especially when they're actually building to go up to be non-compliant, right? They're building an extra story. It's not only just for the tenants, it's for the firefighters if there ever was a fire in the building. Stairways act like chimneys. Sometimes they're compromised quicker than other parts of the building, and it's always good to have another egress point out. Obviously, with what they're doing as far as the 13 system and an extra hour rating, I do commend them for that, but the physical, having another physical stair to get out in an emergency, for system failures or every other reason, to me has never been equal to or better than having a second stair. So that you've known historically, my opinion. I think we had a meeting over here one time on that, but again, if you see something different in this particular application, that's fine, but I see it similar to what we've always discussed.
John, when you say adding an extra story, you're talking about the roof deck.
Well, aren't they 3 going up to 4, right?
No, it is completely existing.
Yeah.
But we're not.
I was reading. Oh, so you're just doing the roof. So it's okay. I'm sorry. Then I'm looking at the case.
Yeah, it's an anomaly. I mean, everything else is 4,
Oh, everything else is 4. So it's just the roof deck that they're extending.
That is correct. There's no roof deck currently. We are adding the roof deck.
Everything else is an existing condition.
Yes.
Okay.
I know this isn't really a code compliant thing because it's in between 2 neighboring properties, but my neighbor has a roof deck. I will be creating a roof deck. God forbid there was a fire and I needed to run up on my roof deck. I could climb from my roof deck over to his and egress out of his building. And we share a beard. He's a good guy. So,
well, okay. In that case, conversely, you could avoid. Don't build your roof deck. Simply use your neighbor's roof deck.
Build a door out the side.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any play with the stair location since it's going to be brand new? To push it away? I mean, I think we're going to push for this back stair to get the exit remoteness. Maybe flip up the elevator on the stair tower.
I mean, it's going to be difficult. So we're trying to discharge directly out at that rear. That's why we do the straight run and then have it switch back as we come in. Coming out the front isn't really viable because that really hurts the commercial space. It's going to be difficult to get a tenant. We're going from on almost 20-foot wide. It's like 18 and change to like something that's like 13. Once we put a hallway through that, so it really hurts the viability of a tenant that we can place in there.
Well, I wasn't pushing it all the way to the front. I was just pushing it a little bit further back.
You guys want to caucus?
Sure.
Okay, let's caucus. I'll get right back to you guys.
Thank you.
Wayne, we can't hear you if you're.
I'm just getting on now. I
Okay.
clicked on the wrong end. Okay. Okay, here's what we came up with. We need that non-combustible stairs from the roof deck, 5th floor, 4th floor, and down to grade. We need horns and strobes on the roof deck. We need the separation, a 2-hour separation from the floor to the 4th, and then from we don't need it for the roof deck, right? From the 5th to the. Okay. The
do.
separation from the fifth floor to the roof deck? My,
You need the 2 exits from the roof deck as well.
yeah, do you?
Yep.
Okay, we need that and the non-combustible stairs and you gotta record the easement. I know it's your properties, but unless you sell it or whatever you do. So am I missing anything?
Yeah, just Jace, I'm
That-
sorry. I was
That
muted.
rear, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a requirement, I mean, typically, the rating between floors, since it's his own roof deck, it's only accessible from the third, fourth and fifth floor unit. Would that be rated, typically, or in the same way as if it were between units?
You asking between the 4th and 5th floor or the 5th and the roof deck?
Between the fifth and the roof
Fifth
deck?
and the roof deck.
I think if it's type 3B, it needs to be rated 1 hour if I'm correct. Is this type 3B, Mark, or?
Yes.
Yeah, we were making everything else, the other floor separation or unit separations 2 hour, as well as the stair enclosure. But so the only question is whether we wouldn't do that between 4 and 5 since it's a bi-level. We wondered whether it made sense to do it between 5 and the roof.
Yeah, let me just take a quick look. Give me a sec. Sorry, my computer's getting a little slow. 6.
If it's possible not to do it between the 5th floor and the roof, I prefer that. There's some really cool old wood details, and I'll be doing like a TPO roof over this. But I want to kind of keep a lot of the cool old historic elements. If possible, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Is it actually heavy timber, in terms of the framing okay?
All right, looks like it's not from you don't require it, but you're putting
Just the exterior wall. Sorry,
you're putting
go
a
ahead.
13 system in here, right?
Yes, they are.
That is correct.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, you're allowed 5 stories on that, and then your square footage should be good too.
Plus
Yeah,
that's
we're
the
nowhere near.
timber.
It's like 60,000 square feet or something. We're like nowhere near it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Hold on.
I do want to cycle back to the stairs when we get clearance on this.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they don't need to provide the protection
fine.
between the 5th and the roof deck.
So the stairs you're requesting, had this stair been inside and a conforming stair, it would not need to go up to the 5th floor and roof deck. It would only be required to access the 4th floor.
No, because your travel distance from the roof deck to the 4th floor level is over the permitted.
Yeah.
But are we adding a second means of egress? So then our travel distance should go from the 125 to the 250.
So what would your common path of egress travel? What would that be until the 2 exits are provided?
I'm not sure offhand.
I don't think you meet it.
All right, so you want a non-combustible stair tower that spans from the roof deck all the way down to the ground from the easement.
But accessed only at 4, 5 and roof deck.
Yeah, 4, 5 and a roof deck.
From a window or a full door, because that might be a different kind of sell to historic.
Ideally,
So it wouldn't be it would need to be a door because someone has to go through it. They can't go through a window to access a fire escape.
Understood. Okay.
I mean,
so full door.
Looking at, we've kind of looked at some images of, the back of the building, and it looks like it would be,
Oh, it's a horrible stucco job now. So we have to do. We have to.
I didn't want to say that.
We're hoping to redo it as stucco. We haven't. Again, this was the first stop on this journey before we even talked to historic. Our goal is to re-stucco the whole rear, if they allow us.
Yeah,
they've always told us if for means of egress requirements, as long as in the rear and not visible from public right away, I think it should be okay. That's what they stated to us before.
Logan, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just, it's pretty tight back there, and there's just kind of like a certain historic charm that I'm trying to keep. If it would be possible to, like, are you familiar with like the ladders that you like throw out the window in the event of a fire?
Yes, and the fire department is told us those are ill-advised, is probably the polite way to say it.
Understood. Okay.
And we would give you.
Yeah,
a
we haven't,
variance.
traditionally, we haven't allowed those as as meeting the intent. Just say for consistency.
Understood.
And there's also a variance aimed down to the bottom from there to the other building or the other lot.
You're on mute, Amy.
You're on mute, Pete.
We're giving
The
a
stairs
variance
coming
for
down.
proximity to property line.
Right. We give you a variance on that, so they don't,
Technically, it would have to be 10
Oh,
feet
you mean the
away
percentage of glazing? Is that what we're talking about here?
No, you need to be 10 feet away from property lines to put an exterior stair. We're letting you go right up against the property line.
Is this gonna cause a zoning variance?
Yes.
It's not occupied area, I don't believe, Jace, correct?
It's not our parcel though. So now we're gonna be putting our egress tower in a space that is not part of this parcel.
As long as it's not, as long as there's no walls covering it, it's not considered occupied space if it's just a stair.
It doesn't have to be covered. Isn't that what would dictate that?
No.
Non-combustible.
I mean,
No,
this
we're
is,
looking for an open steel stair.
this will look very similar to a fire escape. It's a very light element.
Understood.
Doesn't need to be covered. It also, I believe, is just a recorded easement with the neighboring property. It's not, you're not asking to for that to be considered part of your lot. I mean,
So
Jace,
what? Sorry.
Yeah, I'll leave Jace to be a little more articulate about that.
I mean, it's just a glorified fire escape, really.
Yeah.
Since it is from one unit and not a common stair, can the rise to run conform with the requirements within a unit as opposed to a 7-Eleven stair? I'm just trying, it's tight back there, so I'm trying to grasp at whatever I can to make this more palatable.
I have another question here. I don't know if this would be possible, but could I do something like this? This would be non-combustible. There's fall protection. I think this would get you what you're looking for in a much easier way, and it also can be kind of a little more hidden. Is not just this big intrusive stair. And I know that this also won't trigger any issues with zoning as well. I'm just trying to make this one's a 20 one, but there's ones that are 40 feet, 50 feet, etc. But this type of stair with a safety cage.
I mean, it would need to have access to it from all three of those levels, which obviously this doesn't, but.
So a landing with this, right? So that we have the space for the door to swing out into it and then attached to something like this that has a fall cage.
I don't feel that that's a proper means of egress.
Yeah, sort of defer to, John Dimes and Jace in terms of.
Yeah, we wouldn't consider that as a acceptable means of egress.
More of an exterior ladder, right? It's not stairs. Yeah.
I mean, we have to consider anybody getting down, there's children, any adult.
Firemen with packs on.
Yeah, those two.
That's a no, right?
That's a no.
I think.
Okay.
Okay. Going back to the rise run question that I had before Logan presented the stairs. Would it be acceptable to be the within unit rise run since it's only for the upper unit?
What are those requirements?
It's 8.25 by 9, I think. It's the Philadelphia maintenance code dictates that. But had it been a stair from a floor to like any floor to floor within a unit, it's acceptable. It will still be 3 feet wide.
Wait, what dimensions are you referencing? What were
The
dimensions?
the allowable stairs
The
within a
rise.
unit.
You're talking about the riser, the tread, and the risers.
Exactly, yeah. Because I'm just
So
worried about how big this thing gets as an
you can
11.
do 8 inches based on the fire escape requirements under 805 under the existing building code. So if you go to 805.3, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, stairway should not be less than 22 inches wide with risers not more than, and treads not less than 8 inches.
Awesome. That's
8 inch
very
for treads and risers, you're saying?
Yeah, so it says, I'm gonna share my screen. Risers not more than, and treads.
Got it, yeah.
not less than 8 inches.
8 by 8. Okay.
Right.
8 by 8, 20 feet wide. Okay, yes. So what does this I guess what does the letter look like? It's tacit approval for a fire escape conforming to 805.3.1.2.3. You would grant essentially the rest of the refusals, correct?
And Jace, just to be clear, it's not a fire escape per se.
Yeah, I wasn't saying this was a fire escape. I'm just giving the
Right.
dimensions of what was approved for a fire escape, just for you guys.
Got it, yeah.
You can say yes or no to that. But I just wanted to give you the idea of what, if it was a new fire escape for an existing building, these are the dimensions that they go by.
Right, yeah.
Are
Personally,
we okay with that?
I'm okay with that
I'm
myself.
okay with that, yeah.
All right, that's good.
That's quickly.
So do you want me to go over all the refusal items just so that?
We should touch on
Yeah,
them.
we should.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so.
Oh, sorry, Logan.
I just want to understand, sorry, I'm a visual person and I just want to understand what we're agreeing to. Could someone pull up a photo of what we'd be putting on the back of the building?
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially gonna look like a fire escape, Logan. It'll be a steel stair open to the sky with treads that are barred so that water can pass through them.
Railings.
Railings.
Yeah. Okay,
So I think the goal we try to make a switchback one as tight as we can and place it into that corner would be the goal.
Yeah. That's basically 44, it's basically less than 4 feet, so it's pretty tight there.
Yeah.
So
it's not the 4 feet. It's not necessarily the width that I'm worried about. I'm more worried about the length and like where we're discharging below and how that falls. I just have to lay it out to figure out how all of that works.
And plus the board would be granting the variance for the exit remoteness and also, usually exterior stairs are required to be 10 feet away from the property line. So they'll be giving you that variance as well.
Yeah.
With this non-combustible stairway. But to start off, so this was the existing riser dimensions don't comply because of the existing condition. That was the one.
But that'll go away.
That went away.
The second one
landing
is the stairway landings. It's only 2 foot 4 3/8 8-inch in depth, where it's supposed to be 48 inches. The next one is the travel distance that's going to be addressed with the second exit. And the second exit, and the next one is not having 2 exits provided. And with this proviso of the non-combustible stairway, that will get taken care of. So I think everything else has been addressed.
Wayne, did you mention horns and strobes on the roof deck?
Yes, I mentioned horns and strobes
Okay.
on the roof deck, yes.
And this will be fully sprinklered, so.
And it's a 13 in the sampling.
This isn't a complete change, right? It's a partial change.
No, there's no residential current.
No, this is not a complete change of occupancy throughout the building. It's only a partial change, correct?
There's commercial at the first floor and cellar. So yes, that is correct.
I'm just curious, do you have an actual pilot house or are you open air when you come up for?
We're doing a well because we didn't want to pop a pilot house on top of this to be able to see
Okay.
it. Figured that would be a historic issue.
Real quick, just trying to think dimensionally back there, would a spiral staircase that goes this length be a better application than a switchback just because of like how tight it is back there?
I think it'll end up taking up more room just because of what you need to, make it wide enough, because of the way the spiral comes together,
Yeah, Logan, with them only needing to be 22 inches wide and the rise and run of 8 inches, it's going to be pretty steep. So it's not going to look like a full stair. It's going to look condensed.
Okay. Got it. Sounds good. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it then.
Okay, guys, good luck.
Good luck.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.